Hello, today in this video, we are going to talk wealth through impact. We are going to talk about creating generational wealth, educating children on money, and also building incredible online communities that support your legacy and your business. My name is Lisa Wynn, and this is the Legacy Creation Show. So, Nekole, thank you so much for coming and being a guest on the Legacy Creation Show.
Thank you for having me, beautiful Lisa.
Oh, I'm so excited. And it's amazing. You know, I was saying to you just before that I'm so excited to bring my mentors and my clients onto this. So definitely account you as a mentor when it comes to YouTube and lots of other pieces, and also as a dear friend as well. So it feels like a double whammy having you here. Thank you.
It's an honor. Thank you for allowing me to come be a guest.
So I know there's so many different things you do. You're making such an impact in the world. I love it. I'm so excited to talk to you about and to get to be the one to ask you questions, and because you're the one sort of like bringing your wisdom to me. So I get to just dig it out of you today. So would you just give a quick introduction to yourself the way you would love that to sound?
Sure thing. My name is Nekole Eaton. And almost 7 years ago, I started a YouTube channel. And at that same time, I had just become a new mom. I was actually giving birth to my oldest. And there were two beautiful paths that collided into one and created an amazing business for me. I started a YouTube channel with the intention to help other parents through their parenthood journey. Because a lot of us get into it and we're like, holy crap, what did I sign up for? Like, how do we do tummy time? How do we do all of these things? And I was real time seeing my wounds and my traumas in my past and diving into the self-development world and learning how to heal that to create a better legacy for my kids and their kids. So the path of helping parents while also helping myself and changing the trajectory of our family lineage came together, and it just created incredible impact, an amazing community of almost 200,000 people from all over the world joining and learning and co-creating this space. And it's also opened the doors for incredible freedom, financial freedom, time with my kids, having them become a part of the business model while also like really freeing up my time to be there with them. So I now not only support women in becoming and raising conscious humans, but also supporting women and starting their own YouTube channel to really lean into their mission and their vision and reach masses to have the biggest impact that they possibly can have.
I love this. I love this. And that's, you know, I sort of followed you and seen you and been aware of your fabulous energy. And then when you announced that you were going to like really be like consciously supporting women in creating their YouTube channel, I think I was the first one that jumped in and went, yes,
you were. I was like, I love Lisa. Thank you.
So this is so much fun to actually, you know, now that I'm really coming up to properly launching the channel, that you're here.
Yeah.
And you know, something I just want to reflect back to you, and I think you know this, but I really want people listening to know this, that certainly what you've helped me to do is so much more than launch a YouTube channel. It's really helped me to get clear about my messages, about sort of finding my voice. You've helped me through the emotional fears of doing it. It's such an incredibly rounded support and inspiration that you bring to this.
I thank you so much for that reflection, and I receive it wholeheartedly because it's all encompassing. And I think that starting a YouTube channel really fortifies you, and it complements the entrepreneurial or the business ownership journey, because all of the emotions are very similar. The questioning, the what am I doing, the not seeing the immediate results that you want, but still like staying true to the vision and the mission and moving forward. So I thank you for trusting the ride, and I thank you for being a part of it, because you're a joy to have in this space. So.
Thank you. So let's go straight to legacy. Why not?
Okay.
Because you mentioned it already. So I know that you've been on this amazing journey, and then you're sort of really going in this, I don't know if it's a different trajectory, but sort of adding to the magic that you create. When you're looking back on your working life, when you're looking back on your contribution, what is it that you really dream of being able to say about your legacy?
So this is really funny. And this is where, if I'm being completely transparent, the internal tug of war has kind of taken place, because, and I think 2022 was a really big reflection point for me in this. When it comes to becoming and raising conscious humans, my soul has this deep pull, and that's what I really see. And what I had to come to terms with in 2022 was that might not look like an online business model. In fact, the original vision that came through for me was to have physical locations throughout the United States and hopefully the world, where parents of all different backgrounds come together and they're supported through multidisciplinary approaches and have access to resources that maybe they wouldn't otherwise have access to in our given structure of government, or, you know, what you have to pay for. So I see my legacy being so tied to just shifting how it is that society sees the role of being a parent and raising a human, and what's available when we really do come together and support each other in the most important role of raising the next generation. I think especially in the United States, it's so very like isolating. We've moved away from the communal aspect of like bringing up one another's children and being an actual community. And I see so much of this shift happening and coming back together. So that's where my soul ultimately wants this to go. And I think that, again, YouTube just gets to be a vehicle to allow that to happen, maybe faster than it otherwise would, because I get to connect with amazing people and share in knowledge and connections. I don't want to do this alone. So I think YouTube really allows me to connect with the right people, to have the communal awareness and drive to actually make this happen in the 3D. Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. So you're taking the old sort of, I know, cliche, the truth. I would say the truth that it takes a village to raise a child, but you're making it a global village.
Yes, making it a global village with all sorts of different resources that most people can't afford. You know, it's like, I think about the aspect too that, and I went through this in 2022, where I feel like my message about the power of healing and becoming more self-aware to raise our level of consciousness, to raise conscious humans, falls on deaf ears when there are so many parents who are just struggling to financially get by. They're in survival mode. And so it's a dream for them to be able to care and devote that much time and effort to look at these traumas and face it. They're really just trying to get by day to day. So if I can help remove that layer so that they can open themselves up to say, I actually care. Of course I care. I want the best for my children. But when I'm fighting this battle of just, where's the food coming from? How am I paying the bills? Like, I can't hear you. So by creating this space where it's like, we get to remove that barrier, and then you get access to all of these resources that are usually reserved for the people who make the most money. What a difference that makes in the parenting journey, and then ultimately the next generation. They get to start at a different starting line, you know? So that's the dream. That's the dream. Yeah. And
I know you, and anything you dream of will happen.
Thank you. I am stubborn AF, so I'll make it happen. Yeah.
Dedicated, determined, all those
That's
things.
Right. Softer word, yes.
So apart from dedicated and determined, which I see you as absolutely being that, and obviously so passionate about your mission, tell us about the soul behind this vision? Like, who are you in your essence? That what are you bringing to this vision that we all can enjoy and watch and hear?
So when you say, are you saying specifically with the physical locations and this vision of the communal parenting space, or are you saying the online space and what I'm doing currently? Is this the bigger vision? The bigger vision. The bigger vision.
Bigger vision. And
Yeah.
whatever, and whatever you want the question to mean, if there's something else that it would be better to mean.
No, I love that. I think it's interesting because my word, like the word that dropped in for me for 2023 is connection. And it seems simple, but I do feel like for a lot of people that I've spoken to, like 2022 was a bit of a challenging year. And I noticed that my sensitivity has increased and I feel more connected to the people around me and the things that they're moving through. And I think that that is what's underneath this really huge vision is I want each human to see one another as just that, human. Like we see each other for the struggles and the challenges and the achievements and the things that we've overcome, our hearts, our soul, and to be able to meet each other in that. I think that that's how community is formed. So I think the essence underlying this big vision is just a deeper level of connection, because I'm sure you see it, like everyone sees it. We're in this time where everything has become so tribal and there's so much disconnect, and it's never been like, it's so hard for some people to just see the humanity in another person. And I think that so many of us take on the role of becoming parents that it's like, let's start with that common factor and the fact that we love our children. We want the best for our children. How can we show up in a space where we trust and feel held and supported and ultimately connect with each other? Yeah.
I love that. And I think trust is such a huge thing right now, right? I've heard myself say a few times recently that I think one of the biggest challenges we have on the planet right now is a lack of assumption of positive intent. There's so many people assuming the worst about other people's intentions.
Yes.
So how do you bring this sense of trust to a world where parents feel so judged?
Yes, that's such a great question. And it's funny. So to bring this back to YouTube, when I look at the things that I could do better going forward with my YouTube channel, when I got really honest with myself, I looked at how my YouTube channel has performed over the years and what I could do better in starting a new YouTube channel. The thing that was really clear to me is, yes, there is community, but I really desire more depth in the community. And I looked at why is there a lack of like that depth, that like everyone is interconnected and we feel it and we ride for each other. And I think it's because I felt so comfortable speaking to my community from a place of, here's the knowledge that I've obtained and I'm informing you, as opposed to, here are the struggles that I'm moving through. Can you relate to it? And let's open up a dialogue and have a conversation. And I know that that was a protective mechanism for me when I first started my YouTube channel, because I was so scared of being seen and being judged and being torn down, like all the fears we talk about, right? Like you're really opening yourself up for criticism. And so I had to go to my place of comfort, and my place of comfort was falling back on my knowledge. So I think that could create a disconnect. And so my intention moving into this new YouTube channel that I'll be creating is to really come from the space of the novice, where it's like, I don't necessarily know more than you. I'm just going to be courageous in sharing my journey. And I think that that really allows the the fear of judgment to dissipate and creates fertile ground for that really deep connection. So to answer your question, it's like kind of coming off of any sort of perceived pedestal and saying like, I'm in this with you, and there's nothing perfect about my journey, and I'm creating a space where we can share in it and connect. Yeah.
I love that. And as a YouTube newbie, coming into the space, my human design profile, I'm a 2/4. So I'm all about community and depth.
Yes.
I have need motivation. I'm like almost like skin on skin, like come up here and let's grow together,
Yes.
So and there's this sharing that wants to happen, but also this deep connection. And I know that my coaching containers are so intimate, the groups and everything. And I think that's one of the things I felt a resistance to with coming to YouTube, like wanting to expand that network, but also knowing that I would get bored very quickly of it not being deep. So sharing my vulnerabilities, I hear in that. What else have you really learned about creating community online?
That's a really good question. When it comes to, I think that giving people something we take for granted as we are creating content, and, we're CEOs in our business and we're like, here's a checklist. Yes, just get it done, is really thinking about, are we creating opportunities for the dialogue and the conversation, So in YouTube, we're looking at, are we utilizing the community space? Like, are we actually asking for feedback? Are we opening up because we can create a video and it could be a beautiful video, but are we actually asking the question, what do you think? Let me know in the comment section below. And are we taking the time to then go in and have that conversation and that dialogue? Because it really does make a difference. I do have people who have been with me for 6 or 7 years, and it's so beautiful because you don't really know that that's happening until they come in and reflect that back to you. Like, I've been with you since Kai was born, and I'm creating a video about 6-year child development. It's like, wow, that's so cool. Like, thank you for riding with me. But yeah, opening up the space for that dialogue and that back and forth is really, again, is fertilizing that space for that deeper level of connection. And so just being aware of that, because it's easy to be like, yes, I created the reel. Yes, I did the YouTube short. Check. But like, are we doing the things that really invite that deeper layer of connection?
I love that. And I think I was just reflecting as you were talking, how much like social media mentors and that they often talk about getting engagement rather than being engaging. And that if you're asking people to comment, I've been studying a few channels to see what I do and don't like, as you suggested, and I see some that have got loads of comments. They've said, please comment, loads of comments, not a single, not even a love,
right
for it.
Right. And you're like, how hard is it to tap the love button? Because for me personally, if I am just acknowledged, like, my whole heart flutters. Like, it makes a difference. If I understand, when you get to a certain level and you've got hundreds of comments, it becomes much harder to engage with everyone. But to acknowledge someone, it takes 0 time. And ultimately, like, remembering that this is the priority, this community, these people, like, you have no channel, you have no business if you don't have the connection and the relationship with these people. It's relationship first. And, sometimes as you grow, you forget that. And so coming home to that is really, really important. And I love that distinction that you made. Like, are you being engaging? Yeah. Yeah.
And it's so magical, isn't it? I've had a podcast for a longer time than the YouTube, but it's amazing how people come to me and they feel like they already know me. I don't even know their name. I didn't know they were listening. But they've been in this feeling of conversation with me. Somebody messaged me and she said, I had a rest from the podcast while I was sort of about to rebrand and do various things. And she messaged me saying through Facebook, she found me on Facebook, and she sent me a message. She said, I always run with you around Central Park.
Oh.
And she said, and I am running on my own at the moment. Where are you?
That's amazing though. I think it is so beautiful. And I think there's something to be said about like this style of content where you're interviewing and having these deep conversations. And again, looking at, for instance, comparing that to my YouTube channel where it was very talking head and here's the information. It's like, you don't get these insights or this like, oh, I didn't know that about Lisa, or that's cool how she sees the world through this lens, you know, and there's something so beautiful about taking this approach because people really do get to see how you tick, what you value, what lights you up, as opposed to like step 1, 2, 3. And there's value in it. But again, you do run the risk of not connecting. And this is a beautiful space to foster connection. Yeah.
It's so lovely. And I love how easy it is now to have to really, I now consider my social media as my free container.
Yes.
So, you know, I try like free Facebook groups. I know for some people they're so powerful. I just found like people weren't seeing it. It was, you know, and it felt like a must do. And then a business mentor said to me, and I can't remember who, maybe Robin Savage, but somebody said to me, like, you consider your social media as your free container.
Yes.
And so that's so much fun for me. Like, how can I add value to that? How can I just share? Like, don't even need to necessarily add value. How do I connect?
Yes.
And I had somebody join my mastermind, my Changemakers mastermind recently. A little flurry actually, of course, for the new year, but one of them I had never met her before, didn't know her. She had seen one of my posts, like a post in somebody else's Facebook group, in a community, just offering support. She then followed my link to my Facebook profile, looked at my profile, found my Instagram, gone to my podcast, binged some of my podcasts, found, I just love this, found a 5-1 profile, of course. So doing her one, you know.
Yeah.
And then she had found a link where I had tagged my other mastermind members, clicked on them to see whether they were the type of people she would love to be in a mastermind with, sent me an email saying, I just need to know A, when the calls are, because and B, you know, where's the link?
My gosh. That's the one in her profile line, right? She did all the investigating. That's amazing. But that's so true. Like, you have this portfolio. So it's like she went in all the spaces, and you have this beautiful portfolio of like, this is Lisa. Like, I feel like I know her. I feel her essence. And that's also like, I'm so glad, obviously, you're entering the YouTube space, because it's like, the podcast is amazing, but then we get to see like these little looks between us, like the smile, the grin, like your energy just radiating off your body. It's super, super powerful. And you just never know who's watching your videos, you know? And I've seen that time and time again, the people who come through and have found something that I've created 4 or 5 years ago. It's just like, it's a powerful door for anyone to walk through at any point in time to build a significant relationship. So yeah, I agree. Your social media is your free content. Yeah. And your portfolio. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. You know, I had somebody contacted me recently who had done some kind of personal development coaching seminar with me. And I didn't recognize the name. And she said, I'd love to join your Facebook group, I think it was. I said, of course. And I asked her, you know, where did we meet? She had come to, we called them teleclasses in the olden days.
Is it teleclass before webinar?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Teleclasses, then webinars. That's
got it.
Classes, you know.
It was OG.
back in the old day when, you know, when electricity had just been invented, Nicole, like probably before you were born. So, but she had done a teleclass with me 18 years ago.
What?
18 years ago.
What?
And she had been moving. She'd gone home to her mother's house. Her mother had said, could you come and empty up your stuff from my house? So she'd gone to her mother's loft, found this box, gone through this stuff, found the notes that she'd taken 18 years ago on this thing, and thought, that really impacted me. I'd forgotten how much it impacted me. I must contact her.
Oh, I'm blown away.
Went onto Facebook and searched me.
I'm blown away. 18 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, can we just give you a round of applause for, like, this is longevity at its best. Like, you know, talk about not quit and keep going. That's incredible. Lisa, that's got to be like a post or a short. Yeah. Like, that's so cool. Talk about impact. Yeah.
My 23rd year as a coach.
Wow. I don't think there are, I doubt you can count on both hands the amount of people who can say that. Like, that's huge. I'm celebrating you.
Thank you. Yeah, I clicked today actually, that it was 2003 that I gave up my physical therapy business. So it's now, it's 20 years this year since I did anything except coaching.
Wow.
Full-time coaching for 20 years. Yeah.
Time flies, huh?
And then here we are learning all these new tricks and going,
of course, you know, it will always be this way. Yes.
So, you know, I would love to take you back to something you were talking about earlier. And you were talking about this piece about, it's so hard for people to access the level of, not necessarily advice, but almost connection and wisdom that is these days often, let's face it, charged thousands and thousands of pounds for. And I love that. And also you were talking about removing the layer and removing the noise of finance. And I know that's a really powerful part of your new channel you want to talk about. So you're launching. So I'd love you to maybe talk to people listening more about that and how you might be helping that expand on that theme.
Yeah. So that was 2022 was a challenging year for both me and my husband in business. And it was funny because I will caveat this by saying, like, there's the reality of really struggling and, you know, people who cannot put food on the table and pay the bills. And then there's still the perceived idea that triggers the nervous system to put you in survival mode of like, everything's crumbling, right? So there is a difference, but it can feel the same in the body. And I was noticing as I was like moving through this year that I was like, I feel disconnected from my kids and I don't know why. I feel disconnected from this mission of like the conscious parenting and what Soul has always like pulled me towards, like what I'm here to do, what is going on. And then I made this connection of like, oh, well, when your body is in survival mode, like you're not utilizing the frontal cortex, and that's what you need to do these deeper layers of healing and change the trajectory of everything. And I thought, came right in and it said, okay, well, let's help families with this basic knowledge of like understanding what's actually happening on a day-to-day. A lot of families are struggling, right? And like this layer needs to be removed in order to do that deeper layer of work. So with this new YouTube channel, it's a lot of financial healing, really opening up again and being vulnerable and things that I've had to come up against, and looking at even my parental patterns, like things that I just forgot or blocked out that happened, you know, as I was growing up, and looking at the differences in both of them and how they've repeated in my life and what I've had to consciously decide I'm ending and making different decisions. So it's really like a inside look in terms of how I've overcome certain things, the choices that I've made to have a different outcome, to actually build a legacy. And, the conversations that oftentimes honestly aren't even spoken about within the coaching industry, like how to pay your children through your business, and have that be a tax write-off in your business, but also how you get to invest in their IRA or in cryptocurrency, and how they will be protected from tax on that investment for their lives, and how that contributes to financial freedom for them. And again, building a legacy. So these are all conversations I want to bring to the forefront, because I don't think a lot of people understand it, or B, a lot of people haven't had people that maybe they trust that are open to have these difficult conversations. As you know, money is taboo in most of the world to speak about. So it's like, well, let's have the difficult conversations, and let's talk about what small choices we can make that will compound to make a difference over the generation, our lifetime, our kids' lifetimes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I was so grateful. One of my early coaching certifications was around wealth creation.
Mm-hmm.
And I always I learned the jars technique. People, often teach them from my grandparents. I used to watch my grandfather bring home a little wallet of money every Friday, and my grandmother would take it off him, check it was sealed, and then open it, and then she'd put it into the different jars, and then give him back a coin, a penny, basically, probably not even a whole penny at that time, to buy tobacco, which he had to smoke in the shed at the end of the garden.
And take it out there, please, would you? Yes.
But I remember, like, also my children, when they had pocket money when they were small, they would give a third of it would go in their savings, a third of it they would give, and a third of it would go in their, they would go and spend.
Yes.
And the longer they kept it in their money box, like, they didn't have to save it, but if they did, the longer it stayed in there, it would be magical. It was a magical money box, and the money would grow if it stayed in there. And my daughters are in their mid to late 20s now. They both already own their own house.
Yes.
They're so good. Like, I think that financial intelligence and the emotional intelligence around money,
yes,
is something most of us haven't been taught. It's
very true. And I love that you brought this up, that you did this with your children, because Kai's at the age where we're starting to do that too, where it's like, okay, 25% goes here. This is what you have left over because, kids see debit cards or just a wad of cash. It's like, what can I get? And they might be frustrated at first with, why does that 25% have to go over here? But as you said, there's a magical fairy that comes in. The longer you keep something, it compounds, it grows. I'm suddenly motivated to stash money over here or to invest it in this space. It's so important to lay that groundwork, I so agree. I so agree. And many of us haven't been taught that. And we've had to learn hard lessons around money and go, okay, let me consciously choose differently. I understand that this is like a pattern that I grew up around and I saw, and this is how mom or dad dealt with money, or how they avoided money, or how they spent money because they felt like it would never be here for long, but I do get to choose differently, and kids are watching us. So can we be conscious about these choices? Yeah.
My dad taught us that compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world.
I love that. I feel like that needs to be a tattoo. But compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. Yeah.
He used to insist that he did 2 years in the bank before he joined the Air Force. And he used to say that everyone should do 2 years in the bank instead of national service.
So true. We do have, the priorities are a little wonky, huh? I agree with that. Well, and because listen, like, becoming financially intelligent is a life skill. And I think that we miss out on teaching children life skills. There's curriculum and things that are, the government says the kids need to learn X, Y, and Z, but they're really missing life skills. And like, you know, my background, I'm a pediatric occupational therapist. So you think about like being able to cook a meal for yourself, having safety awareness, like these are things that are foundational to anything else, you know, and financial wisdom being one of those pieces. Yeah.
And I love that this is happening, because in the coaching world, and you know, particularly online coaching world, what I see is this drive for more, this
Yeah.
drive for like self-improvement, and then throwing in the word impact,
Yes.
rather than you know, genuinely soul-led work.
Yes.
There's so many people talking about being led by the higher self, doing the soul work, and actually, you know, the frequency is so much ego.
Yes.
You
It's
know,
true.
and so many people coming into like following certain people because of the money and things,
Yeah.
and that's one of the things that completely drew me to you, that you lead with your impact.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I thought that this conversation might come up, and it is so important because I will say to you, impact came first, and there was a big gap between impact and income, and that will weed people out real fast. Like, are you here for the ride? Like, do you really care? Are you led by mission when the money isn't here? Will you still show up year after year when you're not making money? Or are you going to go chase the money? And I'm grateful for that. I'm so grateful for that, because it's so easy to become disoriented by money. And you think that, oh yeah, of course, this is what soul's leading me to do. But I think it's such a gift to have a gap between really creating impact and income, and seeing, are you fulfilled? Like, if the money were to go tomorrow, would you still do this? Would you wake up and do this? Or vice versa. If you were to win the lottery, would you pack up shop and say, I'm complete, I'm going to go retire on a beach? Or would you still get up because you feel this pull to make a difference in this specific area of humanity? You know? Yeah.
I love this, and you know that because you helped me create the messaging around this, that the central, my mission in life is evolving the paradigm of change making. I want wealth in the hands of change makers,
Yes,
who are going to spend money consciously, who are going to earn money consciously,
yes,
who are led by their mission, but not dragged under by their mission. You
yes,
know, like so many change makers are dragged along by their feet by their mission up there, and so that's why this channel's really about wealth through impact. It's about the
yes,
impact first, and then knowing that we want to take all the things that we know about sort of quantum changing and all that things, but bring it to this amazing space where we leave the world a better place, not just a prettier place.
yes. And that instant connection with you for that, because your clarity and your mesh, it's very clear that that is what you are about. That's who you are. It's who you've been. It's who you will continue to be. You're not changing with the wind. You've been doing this for over 20 years, you know, with that same mission, and just growing your impact. And I think it's interesting because, you know, there's definitely a change in the wind. And I think that people like yourself, like, you're going to continue to be elevated. Your platform will continue to grow, because I think there is a hunger for that, you know, that truth and that authenticity of like, no, I'm for real. Like, I really do care about the planet. I care about where our money goes. I care about who's creating the products that we're buying, and the impact that it has on this person in this country, and all, because it matters. It really does matter. And I think we'll continue to be met with events, sometimes calamity, until we become more clear and like, okay, no, we've got to take this seriously. How we make our money matters. Our mission matters, our drive matters, all of it. So I appreciate you. And I think you're such a beacon for so many other people, that like, you can absolutely be successful, create wealth, and have an incredible impact, and sustain that. And it's just not a flash in the pan of like 5 years. Oh yeah, look at me, I did the thing. It's like, you've been doing this for 20 years. You're still standing, you're still growing, you're not going anywhere. And so, yeah, we need more leaders like you.
Thank you. And thank you just so much for all your help and support and your inspiration. And I know that, we'll be doing this together for a while, at least. So thank you so much. So I want to talk to you forever about this. And also I have, this amazing YouTube mentor who's taught me that you shouldn't make it go forever, because
people click off. Yeah.
So I'm gonna make sure that links for people to come and find you are below in the description. What's the message you would love to leave the gorgeous people who have been good enough to stay and listen this long too?
Don't be afraid to do things differently. I think that is a huge lesson that I continue to learn, is your path. If you're really led by soul, your path is going to probably look different. Don't get distracted. Keep the tunnel vision and keep moving, and trust yourself. You're so supported, and you never know the forces that are behind the scenes coming together to support you in your soul-led vision and mission. So keep the blinders on and keep moving. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you. And I'm so excited to watch your new channel and see it all emerging. Sending you so much love. Thank you, Nekole, so much for being here. And thank you everyone for joining us. Lots of love.
Bye.